Take 1255. I've been trying to get this information out. There's some information a wise astrologer told me about a big paradigm shift that's going on for humanity right now as we move from the Piscean age over to the Aquarian age. And there's some major events coming up maybe in the next couple months due to this that may be a little unsettling. So I thought it would help to have some information to give you a larger perspective so you don't get so caught up in all the crazy daily shenanigans. From what I've been hearing on the internet, especially the Q information, is we're in the midst of a huge toppling of the warmongers on the planet. For the last 2 decades or so, really heroic people from the military, the police, and the Central Intelligence Agencies have formed an alliance to take down these warmongering hierarchies that have been ruling for eons. I think they've been ruling since like the Babylonian days. Out of necessity, though, this alliance has had to work behind the scenes so they could find all the different corrupt organizations around the planet without them knowing they're taking them down. Now, you probably won't hear about this on the news because the hierarchies own most of the media. However, I've also heard this is going to be one of their last strongholds, so that should get dismantled soon too. And the takedown should be pretty evident, though. This is going to be just a gigantic game changer for humanity. Kind of like having a Tyrannosaurus Rex on one hand and cute little kittens on the other. I mean, this is just going to be wonderful. But back to the overview I wanted to tell you about the paradigm shift. Basically, our society is going through a major paradigm shift as we move from the characteristics of the Piscean age, which lasted about 2,160 years, to the characteristics of the Aquarian age, which also lasts about 2,160 years. The exact timing of the shift I'm not positive about, but I've heard it's about a 400-year overlap. So for the last 200 years of the Piscean age, you're going to start seeing all sorts of Aquarian influences come in. And for the first part of the Aquarian age, you're going to see all sorts of Piscean age structures leaving. When we move into a zodiac, a new zodiac age, there could be major shifts in philosophies, technologies, economics, government, education, and all kinds of social systems and structures. To understand how these will be shifting, I'll explain some of the differences between the two ages. In a nutshell, the Piscean age was about hierarchy, secrecy, oppression, and victimization. This was a really dark time for humanity. There was just tons and tons of pain and suffering and despair and, just rampant fear. And thank God we're leaving that one. I expect humanity had to go through that to learn things, but I'm really glad it's nearly over. However, on the other hand, we've got the Aquarian age coming in, which is wonderful. It's very love-oriented and has characteristics like equality, transparency, harmony, and interdependency. The internet is a fabulous example of an Aquarian age feature. Everybody is interconnected on the web, has equal voice and equal access to share ideas and information. It's also revealing lots of the information that used to be kept secret from the general public. So it fits in well with the Aquarian transparency. In the age of Aquarius, we're also going to see a revolution in health practices. There's going to be huge advances in medicine, and we're going to have clean and plentiful food and water sources because illness and disease are considered victimization, and they just cannot last in the Aquarian age. And having poisonous water and poisonous air is, poisonous food is all victimization. So those are all going to get cleaned up, thank God. We're also going to have a focus on creating harmonious societies where we treat each other and the planet with respect. Now, obviously, it's going to be essential that we deal with mental illness or we're never going to have a harmonious society. Fortunately, a lot of that is going to dissipate naturally, I think, when they take down those warmongering hierarchies that created most of the oppression, the victimization, and the fear. Now, when you're living in fear, this creates lots of stress. And when you have lots of stress, mental illness can just run rampant. So I think a lot of that is going to get taken care of pretty swiftly. One of the features of the Aquarian age that's, I think, like the best feature is similar to the lyrics of the 60s song Aquarius. Love will lead the way. This is very true. Aquarian age is very love-oriented. So whatever is coming from your heart, or whatever you're doing that's like a win-win situation, or ventures that are based on helping humanity and the planet, these are going to be in alignment with the Aquarian energies. And there'll be an extra force from the universe backing them to make sure they're successful. However, if you're on the other hand thinking about things like selfishness and greed and harm to anybody, that's like going and swimming against the current of the river. And those are going to be dissipated and dismantled. Currently, there are, again, behind the scenes, forces taking down the really corrupt central banking system. Its mode of operation was mainly selfishness and greed and creating poverty for everybody. A new economic structure has been developed and will be put into place, which should create a more level playing field for everybody. Now, over time, we're going to be seeing more and more solutions, better and better solutions for the economics and the education, and all that will develop our societies to make them more harmonious. I've heard there's supposed to be like some huge developments over the next 20 years, and within 50 years, things should be running really smoothly. Thanks to the internet, information is coming out from all over the world, and people are creating and finding solutions for lots of problems. We are in a renaissance of technology, and that's going to alleviate a lot of the human and planetary suffering that we've been experiencing. For instance, there's some fabulous innovations coming out, like one that can turn desert into farmland in like 7 hours. So that should help get food supplies to a lot of starving people out there. There's also this organization that has microbes that can clean up polluted water. And then I ran into a guy who's created this thing that will trap all the carbon particles so they don't go up into the smokestacks, so there's just fresh air coming out. Now that could be used on, besides the industrial smokestacks, it could be used in diesel truck, exhaust pipes. It could be used in wood stoves, all sorts of things. So that's going to help a lot, especially in some of those third world countries where they just have horribly polluted air. Another really cool aspect of the Aquarian age is that we've noticed that symbol of it. It's like 3 waves. Well, anything that's wave oriented or has working with energetic frequencies are going to be the new technologies coming out. Like if you look back about 100 years, or no, I guess it was about 200 years ago, electricity was discovered. And then we saw things like Morse code, radio, television, microwaves, X-rays, all sorts of things, MRIs, and now we have like cell phones and the internet. And I think we're going to have new energy sources dealing with like electromagnetics instead of fossil fuels. And I think this is what Tesla was trying to move us towards before he got stopped. The other thing that I think is coming up is teleportation devices and anti-gravitational devices. And can you imagine, like, if there is a natural disaster somewhere, we'll be able to like teleport all the supplies they need within like hours. It's going to be a huge game changer. So the Aquarian technologies that are dealing with energy are just going to open up a whole new world for humanity. Medicine, we're going to see a shift towards energetic medicine, where they're going to be treating the body more like an electrical system, which is where you can get massive healing, which is just terrific. I've also heard that there's going to be a whole new way of communicating on the planet using a non-toxic quantum entanglement method. And this will eliminate cell phone towers and cell phone bills and internet bills. And it's going to have an extreme broadband width where you can make communication happen very easily all over the planet. I don't know how many years it's going to take for this device to get out, maybe 3, maybe 5, it's hard to say. But if you work for a phone company, you might want to just start keeping an ear out for other employment. And the same for the fossil fuel industry. It's hard to say how long fossil fuels are going to be used, so you might want to see how your job skills can match up with a different kind of work. Basically, other than having to switch jobs due to innovations, I think we have a fabulous road ahead of us. We're not going to see the countless forms of victimization, the rampant fear. We're not going to see poverty and oppression, and there won't be angst between the populations. We're going to be creating more and more harmonious societies. So it's all going to be just great. But in the meantime, it can be a little jerky, so just hold on tight as these Piscean structures leave and the new Aquarian ones come in to replace them. I should also mention we've already been in this for about 200 years or so, because if you look back at the not the American Revolution, they were focusing on things like independence and freedom for all, which is very Aquarian. At the same time, the French Revolution was going on, and the people took their power back by taking down their negligent rulers. And now today, we've got some fabulous work going on with the Yellow Vests. They've already removed 3 tyrannical leaders from 3 different countries. And I'm hearing that other countries are stepping up to change their leadership, with better people. And notice these Yellow Vest folks did not have to go running around cutting off heads, but are being very peaceful, which is a lot more Aquarian. It matches the fact that the power is returning to the people. And compared to the American and French revolutions, this was a piece of cake changing over leadership. So even if things look a little crazy at times, if you look at the big picture, you're going to see there's great things happening for humanity. And life is just getting better and better on the planet here. But before I end, I want to hit on the Aquarian characteristic of personal responsibility. In the Aquarian age, we will no longer be relying on authority to take care of us. Instead of hierarchies holding the power, it will be held by the individual. So we will need to be self-directed and be in command of what happens to us and around us. For instance, we will be responsible for our own personal health and rely less and less on doctors, which shouldn't be too hard once we start getting clean water and clean food and clean air. That's going to help a lot. Then we're also going to have our government structures minimized as we take up responsibility for ourselves and work interdependent in interdependent relationships, working with others to provide all the services needed. We also are going to be relying on our own spiritual authority instead of putting religious people up on pedestals, and be responsible for our own spiritual fortitude and not defer it to the religious leaders like they're the only ones who have to have morals and ethics. So the fact is, each one of us is a direct, powerful source of love. You do not need to go outside of yourself for love. You are love. It comes from within you. It's kind of like when you hold a pet. Love just comes pouring out of you. Now, wanting healthy companionship and being social are basic human needs that help support you to bring your love out. But do not confuse these with the source of love. Those relationships only help you express the love that already exists inside you. And even though you may lose touch with your love, it is never gone. It is an inherent part of you, so you just need to find ways to remove whatever is blocking you from tapping into it again. In summary, I just want to give you I just want to, tell you about the shift going on with the Piscean Aquarian age. And I'm sure there's a lot of astrologers who can give you a lot more details than I can on this, to help give you more of a sense of what the changes are going on around us. And since I have never gotten involved in social media, if you know anybody else who might find this interesting, just feel free to pass it along. And we'll talk to you later. Bye.